I've been trying to do this video and like it's really hard for me to do it because I'm trying to be as authentic as I possibly can, but it's so hard because there's a lot to say, but I don't know how to say it, and I feel so self-conscious saying what I'm saying because I want people to hear me, and I know that sometimes I can come off as someone who's aggressive. I don't really care, but I want people to listen to my message. So I've filmed this like 500 times already, trying to really find the perfect way to say what I need to say. But the only times where I feel like I've genuinely said something is when I just let the camera run. So I'm just going to let the camera run and I'm going to say what I have to say. Trinity University saying that Black Lives Matter is a slap in the face. Okay, it's a slap in the face for Stacey Davidson, it's a slap in the face for Ali Roman, it's a slap in the face for Maisha Smith, and it's a slap in the face for me. And it's a slap in the face for every Black student who has gone on this campus and tried to advocate for themselves and tried to advocate for the Black experience and has been invalidated. For every staff member that has been either forced out or fired, same thing really, but those who have left because they couldn't like take it anymore, they weren't respected by their salaries. For all those people, for Trinity University to say Black Lives Matter is the biggest slap in the face when those people, Stacey Davidson, Ali Roman, Maisha Smith, and I, have fought so hard for them to respect and care about Black lives on this campus. So it's a little personal in my end, but also I just feel like it is a move that erases my perspective and erases the perspective of Stacey Davis and Ali Roman and Maisha Smith. Their experiences, their story gets erased because Trinity University just has to say 3 words, Black Lives Matter. And the minute they say that, people are like, oh my God, like they've been awakened. But they don't know. People don't know these stories. People don't know these perspectives. People don't know the violence and trauma that not only of people who have advocated for Black experience to be heard, listened to, and used to create change in these institutions, but just students in general, like, have also faced that. Staff members, professors, like, to say that Black Lives Matter is so disrespectful. And to have them write some letter, the president wrote a letter saying, I'm so sorry for not acknowledging these things, didn't mean anything because he didn't address any of those people. He didn't address any of the experiences. He didn't address the fact that he has been told multiple times. Multiple times. Before me, I've had people, after I wrote my article about leaving Trinity, message me and talk to me about how they have felt that way. People that were before me were like, it seems like things haven't changed. So for Trinity University to just say Black Lives Matter, to put out some fake apology, it is disrespectful. And in this video, I'm going to expose Trinity by, not really expose Trinity, because you know what, let's not use that word. But I'm going to share my experience so that my experience is not erased by some institution just saying Black Lives Matter and then doing small little things to try to seem as if they've changed. When we all know that all of these things are motivated by profit and are not genuine and are not going to last. The minute this whole thing is over, Trinity University is not going to care about any Black person that walks into that campus. And that is why I genuinely care, and that is why I'm making this video. So that this video will exist on the internet for as long as it exists, until Trinity University addresses it. Until Trinity University addresses every single thing I say in this video, because they will be forced to address it. Then I'm gonna keep it on the internet, but regardless, because change only happens when it is demanded and not asked for. So I'm going to go down the list and I'm going to talk about my experience at Trinity University first so that people can really see where I'm coming from, and then I'll move into things that I have experienced, have heard, have seen, etc. So when I first got to Trinity University, I went through as the FIGS program. Figs is first generation underrepresented student, and I am a first generation African immigrant and a woman and poor. So all of those things. And that was basically like the group. Well, there's only like what, discounting the football players, maybe like 4 Black people, maybe 3 Black people in that whole group. 3 Black people in that whole group? Yeah, I don't remember. But not a lot of Black people if you don't discount the football players, which is a different topic to talk about as to why Blackness only exists in these institutions when they're coming from athletics. But when I went into that program, the first few days, or I guess I didn't, maybe it was the first day. The first day of class, I guess, we went, no, I'm trying to remember. I think it was the first day. We went to go get breakfast, or was the first day of, I'm trying to be as specific as I can, but I think it was the first day of class or the first day of like orientation. We went to go get breakfast and as a group, and they wouldn't let us eat because we didn't have tickets. Like, mind you, we're coming for a program for first generation underrepresented students because they failed because there was some glitch or failure to provide us tickets to go eat. The cafeteria wouldn't let us eat until we had tickets. And the only other option was for us to pay for our own food. So we called Cheryl Tynes and she like got it figured out. But for about 15 minutes, they wouldn't let us go into the cafeteria to eat unless we had tickets. Mind you, no one was on this campus at that time except for us, except for us and the football players. So they could have really just counted us and then dealt with that later, but they refused to let us eat until we had the tickets. And that's when I knew, or that's when I should have known, but I didn't listen to whatever message God or my ancestors were trying to tell me. I guess around that same time as the first week, we had a diversity session, orientation thing with the football players, and they were something else. One kid complained about how people didn't respect him because he had so much money. And as a football player, you know, like no one ever gave him respect because they feel like he bought his skills, but he didn't feel like he can buy skills. Skills comes from effort, even though access to capital means access to more resources, which means access to more training and skill building. But I guess he couldn't connect those two things together. And that's fine. But he was speaking to a group of people who are, once again, first generation underrepresented. People who came for lower income, like, classes, or were underrepresented underrepresented students in, like, any class that they were in, or any economic class that they were in. But a majority of us were low income students. And he was telling us the woes of being wealthy. And it was disrespectful to us. But I didn't say anything. I just let him do what he had to do, and I let someone else handle him. And then this other student said that Black people can be racist. I forgot what happened. I think somebody talked about racism. Like a Black person talked about racism, and then they were like, no, Black people can be racist too. And the example that they gave us was that when he went to go play basketball with some Black guys that he had just met, they wouldn't play basketball with him. Or they kept making fun of him and telling him that he couldn't play basketball because he was white. And then he was like, actually, I'm half, like, Mexican. And then they let him play. And he was like, yeah, Black people can be racist because they judge me based on the color of my skin. Once again, I didn't say anything, but I was like, okay, that's really interesting. Then this kid went on a rant about how Black supremacy exists and like Black people hate white people and Black people are like all these things denouncing the existence of white supremacy. And that's when I went off. Like I went off because I was like, there's no way y'all are gonna keep saying this. And like the thing was, no one was checking them. No one in the space was like checking them. Everyone was just kind of staring at them. And I had promised myself that in this space, I wouldn't say anything and I would just mind my business and get on with my day. But it was like, that took me out until I went off. and I said what I had to say to each one of them, and I made sure they knew who I was by the politics that I stood under. And so I remember after I said that, I was like, oh my God, like, Kezia, damn, like, you did it again. You know, like, here you go, out here really, like, popping off. You know, I was like, damn, Kezia, you really popped off again. Like, what are we gonna do? And then in that moment, Stacey Davidson turned around and looked at me and just smiled, and then proceeded to essentially like check every person who had spoken and told them the truth about white supremacy, told them the structure of society and how it impacts Black people, particularly, but also like poor Black folks, like, and told him about racism. And the structure of racism is not just like Black boys not wanting to play basketball with you. Like, but she politely and respectfully checked all of them. But to see her smile at me in that moment made me feel safe, because I didn't feel like any of those people in that room could ever relate to me personally. And to see her kind of support me, because I'm a very vocal person, and sometimes it can feel lonely when you're the only person standing up, not only for yourself, but for your people. And for her in her position to be like, I see you and I hear you and I'm going to support you, and what you're saying was really meaningful to me. And we will get onto Stacey Davidson, but that's how I met Stacey Davidson. And that's what Stacey Davidson represented for me. Fast forward, I got involved into MLK. And when I was in the MLK committee, it was around like, so the MLK committee met before the MLK like event, MLK Day or MLK Week. So the MLK Week took place in 2017, and we met in 2016. So 2016, there was a lot going on. Black Lives Matter was a big thing. Like, there was a lot going on. So I knew that if MLK Week was going to happen around this time, I wanted it to focus on Black Lives Matter. I wanted something out of this whole event to talk about Black Lives Matter, and it was going to be the t-shirt. And I didn't even push for this idea. The white kid on the committee pushed for the idea. So I was like, bet, you take that privilege and use it correctly. And it was all good until we had to finalize the t-shirt design. And tell me why, before all that was happening, like, they were sending me emails, they were meeting me in like the in the school. They would meet me like, yeah, I'm so excited, like, I really want Black Lives Matter, like, go for it, be radical, blah blah blah. T-shirt says Black Lives Matter with a fist on it, and they're like, nope, that's too divisive. Like, they literally sent us a message and said we can't do that because that's too divisive, that's a stance that we cannot afford to take. And then the fist looked too much like a gun, and that would just be far too much for Trinity University to take on. A gun. Stash that one. So I was like, wow, this is this school. Like, that was my experience as a freshman, mind you. Like, I had gone through all of that. And also my freshman year, when we were in class, so my freshman year, this is really important also, because my experience in my freshman year truly made me understand where I was going to be in. It made me understand the environment that I was going to be placed in, and it made me understand what Trinity was about. And it made me understand that Trinity does not think Black Lives Matter. So my freshman year, I had Cheryl Tynes as a professor with another professor, but Cheryl Tynes as my professor for FYE. And the FYE was problematic. It was called A Successful Life, but all the books that we read, except for maybe two, were white people talking about how to be successful and really kind of formatted around like pick up what's a bootstraps, whatever idiom that is, like really like the American dream, which is once again problematic inherently. And like there was problems with the structure of the class. For one, our field trip was to a juvenile detention where they made us walk around and watch the kids in the juvenile detention. And then when we got on the bus, they asked us the question like, what did y'all feel here? Every single black and brown student on that bus just stared at them because we know what it feels like to be observed as if you're in a zoo, and to take black and brown students, FIG student, mind you, like first generation underrepresented students, to a juvenile detention center to learn about what exactly, like, and have us observe these children like they're zoo animals was incredibly violent. And I remember we talked about it and they're like, we just wanted you guys to learn. And they did not take us seriously. In fact, there was one student in the class who said, at least they have windows. Most jails don't even have windows. As to humanize juvenile detention centers, one that we walked into and treated the kids like they were animals. And then there was another incident with Cheryl Tynes where she was completely disrespectful to a black female student. Like, just horrible. So horrible that this student's actual professor emailed her to apologize for Cheryl Tynes' behavior. And then in the class that I had with Cheryl Tynes, we were reading a book. I forgot what the book is called. It's by Appiah, man. Anthony Appiah. Or Anthony something else Appiah, but I forgot his other name, or his the hyphen to his name. Cosmopolitanism? Something like that. But we were reading that book and she said Appiah. And me, a Ghanaian woman, a Ghanaian immigrant, okay? Ghanaian people are so prideful, especially when it comes to our name. Like, I was like, wait, like, let's not call him Appiah. Like, that's really disrespectful. When I'm here and I can help y'all pronounce his name, his last name is Appiah. So can we pronounce his name correctly? And Cheryl Tynes goes, that's how he pronounces his names in interviews. So we're going to pronounce his name that way. And I was like, relax. In my head, I didn't say that, but I just stared at her. I didn't say anything. The class was real silent because the way that she approached me when I said that was incredibly rude and disrespectful. And I knew, so I confirmed 100% that that's who she was. That's how she moved 100%. And I knew that I wasn't wrong because my TA stopped me outside of class and said, I'm so sorry for what she did. Like, that was so disrespectful. And for her to do that in front of everyone in that class, like, it was disrespectful. Thirdly, my experience with Cheryl Tynes during our finals, because after that incident, I guess she was embarrassed or whatever she was feeling, because one, I wasn't even talking to her. Like, I would not talk in class. I would not even approach her. I would not even look her in the eyes. So I was like, nah, you're irrelevant at this point. Like, I know who you are and I know how you move and I'm no longer going to talk to you. During my finals exam, she messaged me like a day later and said, I'm grading your like exam, but you forgot to do 2 out of the 3 essays in the final exam. So do you want to come do it, or I'm going to just mark you off? And I remember I saw that and I didn't respond. Like, I just didn't respond at all because I knew what that was. Like, I knew that I had finished my essays and she was just looking for a reason to either talk to me or a reason to just mark my exam like off. I think I got a B in that class. But I didn't care because at that point I was like, I don't want to talk to you and I don't want to deal with you. Like, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to make sure you don't exist in any of my experiences at Trinity University any longer. And that's my experience at Trinity, like my freshman year, mind you, like my freshman year. And I experienced other things in my sophomore year, but that's how I got to know Trinity University. My sophomore year, I was involved in a lot of stuff, and I don't really want to go into detail in that because, like, I feel like it'll be the same things I'll say in the other sections of this video, but I really got to know the structure of the school by being in organizations that were of power or a part of some power in like the structure of the school up there. And I got called a lot of things for being vocal about how I feel and being vocal about Black experience at Trinity University. Like, I remember this one incident regarding me, my friend, and then her ex roommate and her boyfriend. So it's a really weird incident, but basically my roommate sophomore and junior year had a racist roommate freshman year, and they had gone through a lot of issues. That girl put her through hell and back, and no one took her seriously until like we all like everyone basically got involved and like take her serious. Like, this girl was racist. Like, her RA had to like vouch for her. It was just a lot. And so um skip to sophomore year, this we found out that the girl had been talking about her. So she'd been talking about her freshman year after she moved, but even in sophomore year, like, we were hearing that she was talking about my friend. And so we kind of like let it go because like, wow, this girl is really still talking about you. Like, that's insane. All of a sudden my roommate tells me that she's been called by the res life to meet about harassment by an ex-roommate. She had not talked to this girl, like, had no kinds of interaction with this girl, but this girl felt like she was threatened because my friend would look at her when they passed by each other, and that her stare would be very aggressive. So my friend went to go meet for the harassment meeting, and they just essentially told them to just not interact with each other, and they weren't interacting with each other in the first place, so what was the point of this meeting? But I understood what this meant, and I understood what this was about to be. Like, I was like, if you go into this meeting without any type of evidence, without any type of backup, they're not going to take your opinion seriously. So I think it was before the meeting happened, but I'm not really sure. I don't remember exactly, but I know we went out to go eat. I think it was before the meeting happened. It was when she told me about it, and we went out to go eat dinner, and we went to the like store in the cafeteria to go buy some snacks to go to bed. Like, it was kind of during finals or midterms, so we go to the store and this girl is there. And she immediately, when she sees us, she immediately runs out of the store dramatically, dramatically. When I talk about harassment, like harassment, that's harassment. So, being who I am, I was like, you know what? Let me go talk to her because she doesn't think I'm harassing her. So I go outside. I'm like, hey, that's a lie, actually. That's what I did. That's what I did. So I'm like racist. That's all I say. I'm like racist, racist, racist. Then I walk outside. I'm like racist, racist, racist. Because I just want to yell racist whenever I want to yell. And her boyfriend is like, I'm gonna report you. I'm gonna have to write you down for harassment. Leave her alone. And I'm like, I'm not even touching her. I'm not saying anything. I was like, I'm not touching her. I'm not even close to her. All I'm saying is racist. All I'm yelling out loud is racist. So if the shoe fits, then the shoe fits. And he's like, no, I'm gonna have to report you. I'm an R. I'm gonna have to report you. And I said, report me then. I'm not giving you my name or my ID, but whatever you have to do to report me then. So he's like, I'm gonna have to call GPD or Res Life. Like, I'm gonna have to do something. I was like, do it. Like, just do what you have to do. But your girlfriend is racist. And he's like, you're defaming her, like, whatever. And he basically called Res Life, and Michael in Res Life showed up, and he was like, I don't appreciate you calling her racist. She's not racist. And I was like, you don't understand anything about the situation. You don't understand anything about the situation because your girlfriend is telling her side when she's the one who's been talking about my friend for months. I would say 2 years, basically, sophomore year and freshman year. She's been talking about her, and they're not even roommates anymore. That's insane. That is violent. That is harmful, and that is harassment. And he was like, no, she's not racist. And I told him, I was like, explain why she would be doing this to her if she wasn't racist. Like, what else is the reason? They're not roommates anymore. They're not even friends. So why is her name in her mouth? And he was like, no, you don't understand. I was like, you don't understand. You don't understand systemic racism. You don't understand what we have to deal with every single day. Here you are defending this white woman who is trying to get my friend in trouble for harassment, for staring too aggressively at her, staring too much at her. Like, and I had my roommate video me because I knew what was about to happen if anyone found out about that incident. Me, a black woman, a vocal black woman, having an argument with a white man about a white woman, history has already told me was about to go down whenever anyone heard about this. So I videotaped myself. I made my friend videotape me, but I made Michael videotape me. And Michael didn't send the videos, mind you, but because he's in part of the institution, what was he going to do? Prove that they're racist with me? So the boy ended up crying. Like, it was real dramatic for no reason. Like, he wasn't even involved in the situation. But thankfully, I got to explain to Michael the circumstances, and I got to make sure that he took her seriously before they entered that meeting. Because had my friend gone into that meeting without any type of serious consideration of her perspective, it could have gone down very badly. Like, it just would have not looked good on her, because I know that this system will always protect white women before it protects black women. Every single time. So when Cheryl Tynes and Dean Tuttle found out about that situation, I don't know how they found out, but they found out. They called me the aggressor. I was the racist aggressor in the situation. And the most important, the most important part, I guess there's two important parts. The number one important part is, like, in the email, Dean Tuttle called me a racist aggressor and called me aggressive and called me an instigator and I don't know if he called me a rabble rouser, but basically called me a rabble rouser. Check the Trinitonian article on that one too. Just on the word rabble rouser. And then Cheryl Tynes told Allie Roman that she felt uncomfortable, that I needed or felt like I needed to film myself. And she didn't feel comfortable with the fact that I had video tape of that incident because I don't need to feel that way on this campus. And Allie and I were like, that's how I feel, and that's how I feel. If I don't feel safe on this campus, I'm not going to pretend like this campus is for me or this campus is safe. But that's what I mean when I say invalidation of Black experiences. She couldn't even see that I filmed myself because I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like my voice was going to be heard. Instead, she felt uncomfortable because she felt as if this space was open enough for me to feel comfortable getting into something like that without having to film myself. Once again, ignoring me, ignoring my experiences, ignoring Black experiences, and just looking through her lens. And it was intentional because in order for her to look through my lens, she'd have to admit and take accountability for her actions and this institution's actions on Black students. But that was my sophomore year. That was an experience that really kind of defined my sophomore year. Junior year, Stacey Davidson left, and that kind of changed my junior year a lot. I don't know if I was that active my junior year. I just wanted, because Stacey Davidson had left, I think I was really like on this need and drive to just kind of like do whatever. Actually, I don't remember when Stacey Davidson left. I think it was my junior year, but I don't really remember. But I know that I was coming off of the heels of that, and I just like did not feel any need or motivation to maintain any like relatability or what is that? I don't remember the word, but I just did what I had to do to be as radical as I possibly was, losing any structure of radicality. I just kind of did everything, knowing that regardless of what I do, like my perspective would not even be accounted for in the first place. So now that we've gone to that part, we're going to talk about Stacey Davidson and how that really signified a huge part of my Trinity experience. So, like I said, I met Stacey Davidson my freshman year, and that's kind of like the relationship that I had with her. I didn't really like talk to Stacey every single day of my life. I know there are people who really talk to her, but I knew that with how I was, I could not hold that kind of relationship with her without it being harmful to her job security, right? Like I was doing things that I was doing on my own, so I didn't need to be like in the same space with her every single day because being in the same space with her every single day would basically mean that she probably got fired much earlier. But when I found out that Stacey Davidson was fired, it was over the summer. I got a text from the BSU president, and I was like, what? Like, what happened? And she essentially told me that she couldn't tell me anything, that she's not allowed to tell me anything. And that's when I knew things were weird. Also, Cheryl Times called the BSU president because someone leaked that she had told everyone about Stacey Davidson leaving. We all know who leaked that, but she has blood on her hands, mind you. But they told Cheryl Times that told people that Stacey Davidson left Trinity. And Stacey Davidson, or no, Cheryl Tynes, there's a lot of S's. Cheryl Tynes called mother and essentially threatened her because he told people about Stacey Davidson leaving or being fired or leaving Trinity. Because to be honest, like Stacey was fired, she just said like Stacey left Trinity. But I guess Cheryl Tynes was so scared that she called a student's mother and threatened the student because she had leaked information that she just did not want to be out with that. And then like just in regards to Stacey's leaving, because she didn't leave, she was fired by Cheryl Tynes. And the fact that the school fails to admit the fact that they fired Stacey is an example of how Black lives do not matter. Because Stacey was a symbol for Black students in this campus of home, of a place, of safety, of belonging. And to have that taken away from us, especially when Stacey Davidson was doing everything that she could possibly do to help Black students on campus, and she was doing like 10 times her duties. So for her to be fired and not even have the school acknowledge the fact that she was fired, to have them try to hide it by telling us that she left on her own accord when they fired her and gave her like 2 or 3 months to find another job, it was really disrespectful. And when we approached the school about that, about really just holding themselves accountable about Stacey Davidson being fired and not leaving, they refused to hear us. In fact, when we had dinner with David Tuttle, he like almost fought me and somebody, like another student, over this. He said that we were being racist. We were trying to make everything about race. We weren't understanding how this world works. We weren't understanding how like academia works. We weren't understanding how institutions work. We didn't know what we were talking about, and we're out here spreading rumors about the school being racist. Like, when I tell you this man almost fought me for voicing my experiences. He almost fought me because I said this institution is racist. He went off. He's like, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. I'm not racist. Not hearing a word that I said, not hearing what any of us were trying to tell him about our experiences, about how we felt about Stacey Davidson's firing. He went off on all of us. And then in that same interview, when Ali Roman said, I feel like you're not hearing our students, I think you should read a book and it will help you understand how to navigate conversations with Black students without calling them aggressive or angry. He proceeded to say, why would you assume that I didn't read that book? Why would you say that and assume I didn't read that book? And Allie was like, did you read the book? Like, I'm just trying to help. And he said, no, I didn't read that book. And it was so disrespectful for him to say that when there were students literally crying, like angry, tired from having to defend ourselves, when there's a woman who is your employee, like knows her stuff. She's trying to help you know us, which is what this whole dinner was about, was him trying to understand us, and she's trying to help him understand us. And for him to dismiss her like that, to be so condescending to her when he hasn't even read the book, it was so disrespectful. And it showed me how he speaks to Black women. And I say that because when Stacey Davidson was still here and we went to another like BSU dinner with Dean Tuttle, whatever, and we once again were expressing our grievances, and he went off because we apparently felt like our experiences was not what he wanted our experiences to be, I guess. When students were talking about how they felt like the school was racist, how they felt like their experience has been invalidated, he went off on us. He kept like yelling at us, right? Um, and when Stacey was like, you need to listen to them, like they're, and he kept, in every single dinner that we've had with him, especially when it comes to me, mind you, he's called me aggressive in the most coded language ever. And Stacey corrected him, and he got mad and basically remarked in her in a very condescending way. And I like that's when I know, like, if you can be condescending to me in a room, or to a woman who's a staff member in a room full of students, that's Black students, mind you, that's how I know that you were condescending in private. And for him to have repeated that with Allie only made me realize the trend. He is condescending to Black women, disrespectful in every single way. And then he emailed Allie and told her to not be condescending to him when she's with him in these spaces, because it makes him feel like he's under attack. Once again, not caring about Black experiences, right? Just caring about himself. Just caring about himself and his perspective and making him feel comfortable. When the whole purpose of the dinner is to talk about Black experiences. The whole purpose of the dinner is for him to understand and hear us so that he can make institutional changes or promote institutional changes in the school. And then, honestly, speaking about Dean Tuttle, because I feel like this is really important, he tried to do this thing with BSU where BSU inspired him, I guess, to do these conversations where it was led by him, like a white man talking to like other white people. And basically, like, rather than listen to what we were really talking about what he needed to do, he just turned it into like a debate forum between BSU and the white supremacist group on campus. Like, it was the most disrespectful thing I'd ever been in. He also wanted to play devil's advocate. Like, it was just so bad. Like, it was just like, wow, this is how you move. When I say, like, this is how you move, this is how you move. He didn't listen to a word we said. Instead, he said more violence, more trauma. Let's do it. Wow, what a joke. But that's really just kind of what Trinity is, a joke. Like, when it comes to these things, it's like y'all think Black people are a joke. Like, y'all think our lives are jokes. Like, when we say you need to talk to these kids about racism, we didn't say open up the floor for us to feel more violent conversation. Like, we don't want to hear what white supremacists think about us and our right to kneel. Like, we already know that. Like, we want you to bring our perspective to them through you so they can understand our perspective, because they're not hearing us. But once again, he wasn't hearing us, and he did not care to hear us, mind you. Let's go we're going to move forward from Dean Tuttle because there's a lot, but one thing also that is just like, I feel like I should mention, after I went off on him at that dinner with about Stacey Davidson, showing him because honestly, he was coming at me with no facts. And when I pulled out the facts, when I showed him that I can read and tell like I was like, I read, sir. Unlike you, I read. I know what is going on in this world. I can bring you studies. I can bring you research. Okay, it is about race. There is research to show that it is about race. You're just not listening. You're not reading. You're not seeing. You're not comprehending. And when I finally told him that, that man refused to make eye contact with me for the rest of my year at Trinity University. Like, when I tell you he would see me and proceed to go the other way. And that's also what I mean is like, for an administrator who is part of student life to see me and not even look me in the eye, not even like, not even being able to walk past me, violent. That's all I'm gonna say. I feel like throughout this video I should just be like violent and not say anything. Violent. It was just violent. Like, you're an administrator. You're part of student life. You're supposed to help students, including the Black ones. Like, if someone is trying to tell you about Black experiences and you're not listening, and the only reaction that you have to that is to not look at us and not even be around us, like, he ended up doing the same thing to every single Black person who challenged him, right? He just refused to acknowledge them. And that's incredible. Not just, it's a lot, but it's a lot. When the Philando Castile event happened, I think it was also during the same time as ICE. I'm not really sure, but I think it was around the same time as ICE, and Trinity had released a statement about ICE. So I was like, okay, so you made an ICE statement, so when are we about to hear about Black Lives Matter? Because once again, they told me that saying Black Lives Matter was too divisive of a political position to take. So to take position against ICE was very political, in my opinion, a very divisive political position, even though it is the morally right thing to do. A lot of people who would not agree with Black Lives Matter would not agree with ICE. So I was like, okay, maybe they're finally moving towards this section. They didn't say anything. I emailed them. I was like, when are y'all gonna talk about Philando Castile and Black Lives Matter and police brutality against Black folks? Are you going to talk to your Black students about, like, Black population in Trinity are also impacted. Latinx community was impacted by ICE. Black people were impacted by ICE. Police brutality is impacting us. Are y'all going to talk about it? And they did not talk about it. In fact, I got a message back saying that once again, Black Lives Matter was too divisive at the time. And they just didn't want to take a position that would be too divisive. So I let it go, actually, because I was, you know what? I'm tired of trying to fight an institution that clearly doesn't care. Like, at this point, Trinity doesn't care. And I'm only saying this Philando Castile and the shirt situation because every single time I have asked Trinity to take a stance against police brutality, to say that Black Lives Matter, they have always told me that it was much too divisive. So I just want to know, like, personally, because I've been asking ever since I was there, I asked. So maybe this is more personal for me, but I just want to know why all of a sudden Trinity University thinks Black Lives Matter. Like, I just want to know what changed. I want to know what happened. I want to know why all of a sudden Black Lives Matter. And why did they not address the fact that they have never said Black Lives Matter until now? Why are they not, like, they did not address the fact that they've been asked twice. And I'm just counting myself. I don't know if anyone else has asked them, but twice they have been asked to say that Black Lives Matter, and they have refused to say it. So I just want to know what happened. Or are you just saying Black Lives Matter because you're profit driven? Are you saying Black Lives Matter because you're socially pressured now, but you don't genuinely mean it? Let me know. Yeah, I'm heated. I'm really heated because, like, we think about these things, it's crazy. They said Black Lives Matter. Like, I asked them twice. Twice they have been given the chance, and each time they say it's too divisive, it's too divisive. But when it's now socially incorrect, they want to take the correct stance when the history book is written, right? And erase the experience of my own. Like, my experience will not be erased, Trinity University. I'm gonna let people know that I asked you to say Black Lives Matter twice, and each time you said it was too divisive. Like, I want people to know that so that they know whenever Trinity tries to write their whole history, that this exists and people know that they did not care about Black lives until it made sense, until it was money positive, okay? Man, I'm talking about a lot of stuff. All right, guys, I'm gonna talk about Ali Roman and the DIO. There's just a lot that I want to talk about in this section, but I'm really tired thinking about everything that's going on. So I'm gonna try to be quick. And also it's almost an hour full of this. But there needs to be justice for Ali Roman because I don't want to cry. I hope I don't cry. Like, I've been doing really well when it comes to talking about these women in my life that I really respect and truly like uphold. But Ali Roman put in work for Trinity. She came in looking to change this institution and make it better. Looking to work for, like, first of all, they promised her a salary and then took it back after they gave her the money. So she was making less than she was promised to. But she still did the job and did it 100 times more than they ever wanted it to be. And Allie has never gotten the respect that she needs or deserves. And for them to put out that diversity website is so disrespectful to me because Allie was pushing for DIO to be its own thing for the longest time, like advocating, trying to get donations, like, and each time her push, her moves were denied because apparently they just didn't have the funds for it. And all of a sudden they do. Not only that, Ali was promised so much with the diversity inclusion office that she literally, like, she was worth so she was promised a office that was going to be like on its own, and assumed that because she was supposed to be taking on the work of being both an advocate for students but also an advocate for like staff and faculty and the administration, kind of being the person for all of that, that her office would be staffed with other people working with her. Instead, she was a one woman show with the help of student workers who really couldn't do much because, like, they're students and they work 20 hours a week. And they put her office in student life when they promised her that she would have an office on her own. And then when they built the new student life office, they still put her in the student life office and in the back. So she had to redirect a lot of people and put signs to let people know the diversity inclusion office was in the back. Other than that, like, I know Allie, and I won't say her experience for her, but I know that she faced a lot of hardship being a Black woman in that position. Not only that, but being an Afro-Latina, having brown students not even see her as a representation of Latinx community. Like, I know that she faced a lot within that. I know she faced a lot within her status as being staff member. Like, people didn't even respect her. People were racist to her. Whatever I was experiencing, she was experiencing times 10 based on where she was. You know, it's like she was experiencing what I was more than what I was experiencing, or experiencing what I was experiencing in her own way, and then having to help me and other students deal with what we were experiencing and feel validated while experiencing that. Like, it was so much for her to do on her own. And she was in charge of diversity and inclusion office. So she was hearing about everyone's experience and feeling like she wasn't supported because she wasn't. Like, she was on her own and she did so much on her own. And the fact that Trinity has not acknowledged that is so disrespectful to me. So disrespectful because of the work that she did. And mind you, the school tried to use her and her department to watch students. Like, Allie would receive emails about what we were tweeting on Twitter. I had to have a meeting with her because apparently I was making too many tweets that were divisive. And bless Allie, because what she said in that office made me like so happy. She was like, just know that you're being watched. Like, she was like, I have nothing to tell you because I believe in your freedom and your ability to say what you have to say, but just know that you're being watched. They are watching you. And that's how I know. That's how I knew who she was. And I knew who she was before, but it's always moments like that when you know someone is like someone is working on your behalf. And to be in those spaces where your experiences are where your experiences are constantly invalidated, to have someone who is up there or even close to being up there validate your experience, it really means a lot. And the fact that Trinity really just kind of like let the diversity inclusion office be absolutely nothing but a show, right? No funding, not even trying to help Allie with any kind of resource. Like, they really would just give her a little and little and little and expect her to do much more. And she did much more than what she really could have done with that place. Like, she went above and beyond. And they did not respect her, they did not see her, and they did not pay her for her work. And to see them open up a diversity and inclusion office, or to open up whatever, like the website, like it's a joke. It's really a joke. Like, they really think we are a joke. And that's what really upsets me. Like, how can you say Black Lives Matter knowing that you have done all of those things, you know? Man, this is a lot. I hope I don't cry in this video. It'll be embarrassing. I don't want me crying on the internet. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, Trinity is a lot. And just seeing them talk about Black Lives Matter and refusing to take any responsibility, like, it's just, it's a lot. And it's just a lot. It's really a lot. I don't even know what to say, honestly. Like, I just know that like, I don't even know what the end goal of this video is, but I just know that at the end of the day, like, I want my perspective to exist on the internet because I don't want Trinity to whitewash this moment. I don't want them to get away with not acknowledging what they have done. And in regards to Maisha Smith, she got a PhD, and then Trinity refused to pay her, or like, because when you get a PhD or when you like earn a new title, they have to increase your pay according to your title. I think that's the policy or something. But they refused to pay her after she got her PhD. They refused to increase her salary, and she left because she knew her value and she knew her worth. Like, that's what I'm saying when I say, like, it's so disrespectful to say Black Lives Matter when Trinity has intentionally done all of these things, intentionally underpaid Black staff members, intentionally. Like it's really kind of like you think Black people are a joke. to dismiss the shit that you have done to us, that you continue to do to Black folks, and try to market yourself as some moral institution that believes in Black Lives Matter. And the thing is, if you don't believe Black Lives Matter, then don't believe Black Lives Matter. But don't suddenly change your opinion when it makes sense and it's marketable to change your opinion. Like, stick to your opinion. Like, have some, you know, and stick to your opinion. Like, it's just really aggravating, and I just wanted to make sure that the internet would see some of the things that Trinity has done. And for anyone who wants to go to Trinity, you would be able to see this. And before you step foot onto that campus, as I'm really just directing this to Black people, because I feel like if you're non-Black, you'll be fine at Trinity. Like, you'll be okay. But if you're Black at Trinity, that experience is vastly different, vastly. And so if you're a Black student, like, or if you're thinking about Trinity and you're Black, like, don't go. Because awareness is really the key to surviving in this world. Like, to be aware of who you are, to be aware of your surroundings, really allows you to move in a way that is best for you. And I will also end this by saying not everyone who goes to Trinity feels the way that I feel, and that's completely fine. Like, Blackness is not a monolith and we all have experiences, but from what I hear and from how I've interacted with the institution, this is how I feel, and I've experienced and heard that some of the Black people at Trinity experience Trinity. But that, it's now almost been an hour of me talking, so I'm just gonna sign off. Bye.